How you doing? Karibuni sana to your world Tuesday edition. And if you know it's a Tuesday, then you know we're definitely talking matters relationship. We're all the way in Karen. I love that every single day we're at a different place. And today we have just the show for you because we're talking about something that we've seen oh so often. We probably use this term so many times. Couple goals, perfect couple. Leo tunadunga hiyo msemo. Winnie. Chukulia hapo.
Now when you say that, my brain is speaking in English and then I need to translate in Swahili. Kwema, kwema. That is what I was told when I came back. Kwema, yes. But welcome to the show. The show is Your World, and like Mikali said, every single Tuesday we talk about anything and everything mapenzi, okay? Relationships could be between family, romantic, work-wise, all sorts of relationships, okay? And today we have, I want to call them the perfect couple because we're discussing perfection and perfect couple. And yes. Is there such thing?
Does it exist?
Does it exist?
Does it exist? And I love that we're tying it together with social media, Winnie, because that is where now we see other couples locally or not locally, global, international. Yes. And we look at them, we're just like, oh my God, they're finishing each other's lines.
Pressure, let me tell you. And then we say hashtag couple goals. I want to be like them. But we don't know what goes behind the curtains, okay? So today we are dissecting and digging deeper into really understanding this term, perfect couple. Does it even exist? Do these people exist? And if they do exist, because I believe in love. I am a hopeful romantic. So I believe perfect couples. When I look at this one is looking at me. Simon says, stop. So if they exist, what do they do to make sure that the relationship works? It's going to be an amazing conversation today. You want to stick around until the end of the show. But even as we really try to understand, does this term, perfect couple, does it exist or do these people exist? That is the question that we're asking you today. Very, very simple. Is there such thing as a perfect couple? So share your comments and your feedback with us on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, and tag me at Lubembe_Winnie at
It's Wikali Mary.
Yes.
And we have, I love the combination of the guests we have today because we have the perfect couple, like he likes to call them, and we have a relationship rebel.
Rebel. Maybe that term rebel.
Yes.
Yeah, every single time I'm like, what exactly is that? But yes, the question of the day is on your screen, okay? Is there such thing as a perfect couple? And I'm curious to hear what this relationship rebel will say about that. And we're talking about Simon Says.
Yes.
Why a relationship rebel?
Because one, you have to rebel against the traditional ways of even handling relationships in this world in which there's a whole bunch of rebels in the streets, and you know yourselves out there. That
so
is the way you're
relationship has to be one.
Yes.
There has to be one in a relationship.
Of course. And
okay.
I'm that one.
And I'm really curious, and especially when it comes to your personal, like where we're just a romantic relationship. Are you the rebel or are you the...
Now, here's the thing. Something I've realized recently, actually.
What happened?
You know, someone told me, like, for example, you know, people always complain about the streets, how they're always, like, all chaotic and everything. I'm never complaining about my relationships, but then I'm wondering, maybe I'm the chaotic one.
You are
and I'm the chaotic one. Be the problem so that the problem never comes to you. That's a great policy to actually live by and actually, flourish. Let other people actually, this.
Why would you intentionally choose to be a problem?
Because sometimes some people want to solve a problem, just give them an opportunity.
You know what? I'm happy that we let Simon go first because introducing Dr. Julius and Dr. Jane. Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
And I know I just said your name's Juju, but maybe you can just introduce yourself. We'll start with the lady, of course.
All right, my name is Dr. Jane Kimani. I'm a PhD holder in counseling psychology, among other things.
Yes.
And I am married to Dr. Julius Kimani.
Yay!
For the last quarter century.
Woohoo!
Hey!
Our last
perfect couple, literally.
Yes. Our last born is a third-year engineer student. So you can imagine our nest. Yeah.
Hey.
And yes, and we've been together I think we got married after 2 years after we had met. Do you remember? There were 2.
2 years.
Lovely, yeah.
After
and
meeting.
it has been a journey, and the journey has been beautiful.
Yeah.
We call it a journey. We call it a journey, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where? Dr. Juliet?
Do you have anything to say after that? Do you have anything to say after that?
In fact, I can just introduce myself, just the name.
Yes. Everything else has been
I'm
said.
that guy
Yay.
who married her.
Yay.
And as she said, 25 years.
Yes.
It has been a long journey. And so, as you say, perfect couple,
Yes.
we'll come to that.
Yeah.
But we've done the same studies, so couple goals.
Wait, let me tell you.
PhD in
Danny, your family,
counseling
your family of
psychology.
doctors.
Yeah.
Eh?
So we treat each other well.
They usually say, now listen, I'm slow today.
You know, there's a thing where if you have a friend in your circle who's a clinical psychologist, you're always now careful. And what are they saying? What do they think? Do I be myself, or do I show up a certain way? So I'm wondering if your partner, both of you, are clinical psychologists, doctors at that.
Psychoanalyzing each other into the maximum.
And you know what, like what you guys said, when we talk about perfect couple, I think we look at you, because I met you many years ago when I was just starting out, my career. And you were so in love. I remember every time we had a show with you guys, Leo, by the way, tomorrow separate Sana. That space is, and it's so good to see you years later and you're still strong and holding on and still loving each other. Perfect definition of a perfect couple. And look at this one. What is it?
No, first of all,
what is it?
Really? Shaturia cringed that. That's like,
I don't have an issue. But I'm hoping on what she said right here. She said it's been a journey. That means they've gone through a lot.
Very
they
true.
have gone through a lot. So I would have been here. Now that is the issue, because now not all people are not willing to go through or what happened.
Absolutely.
That is the truth.
I agree with you.
You're beginning to touch something.
Okay, what's that?
You're beginning to touch something.
You're beginning to touch the reality that for everything you see, it's a process and it is work. Every relationship, when you see anything flourishing, behind it is work. And at times work takes time. And at times that time takes polishing. You know, at times you're given, like a person can be like a raw piece of wood. And out of it you polish a perfect sculpture. It takes work.
Yes, it does. But now here's the thing.
What?
You see, when you're saying that they're a perfect couple, you see now, you're now put as a standard, okay? As a moral standard. Now when you put it as a standard, now other people feel like they have to now adjust and stay now, indeed, this is the way a husband should actually be, and this is the way a wife should actually be. When in fact, that's not the way it always turns out. And that's not always the way things are. In the world, in an imperfect world, there's a lot of imperfect individuals like this walking around trying to not even see, even right here, because they're also not even, let's not even point fingers, like these ones over here, and they actually now want to aspire, and being very honest, the people that say perfect couple are mostly the ladies. The men are feeling like, now when you say perfect couple, I'm supposed to now be like that now. Men are not busy trying to hear like looking for perfect couples.
The question then is,
What?
So that what is the term perfection? Like when we talk about perfection, right? Or perfect couple.
Does it
you, what exactly does that? No, to you, what comes to mind, right? Like when we think about a perfect couple, and then also want to hear from. But let me start with you, and then we come to Rebel.
Stop there.
Yes, like when we say the perfect couple, what is that thing that comes to mind? Because I'm pretty sure there's so many people who look up to you and they say this is the perfect couple, right? Yeah. So can we just start there so that this Rebel here anyone can go first.
You understand?
All right. I'm going to say number one, you've got to work on principles.
Okay.
When you add value to the other person, when you look back a day, a week, a month, a year, you've been together, the question should be, what value have I added to that other person? Many times in relationships, people go to get. People go to acquire. And you've already decided, this is what I want to get out of our relationship. When I get married, I want to be loved this way, I want to do this way. But I believe for you to work it out very well, it's about at times dying to self and reaching to build the other one. And so the other one also builds you up. And when you add value to somebody, you also are getting the satisfaction of value added. You got this person at this level. As he was saying, I agree, there's no perfect person. Everybody begins at a certain level. But as you keep adding value to somebody's flaws, you keep adding value to somebody's strengths. You keep adding value to that person every day and every moment. You're thinking, what better person can I make out of this? And he's thinking of what a better person can. And it is not, you're not forcing or breaking or chiseling. You are molding. So over time you discover, wow, there is so much, and we have a lot to talk about at a personal level later. There's this now that I've been able to mold, and we are happy, we celebrate together. There's what he has molded out of me that now we celebrate together. That's why I use the word a journey. Vis-a-vis people who look at the screen and they imagine, I want to be that now. Life is not instant. Life is a journey. Number two, there's too much I can say, so I'll just mention two. What do we mean by when I talk about a couple that is in sync? It's a couple that has got a vision, and they're working towards a short-term, mid-term, and long-term vision that they've agreed upon, and they are not married just to themselves, they're also married to the vision around them. So that adds value and joy as you keep on growing towards your vision. We have had a lot of vision on our education, on this and on the other. And as you achieve them and the children come along, the couple that has to go far has to have a vision. If a country can have vision 2030, and it will work towards attaining wherever it gets to, God knows, and we pray it gets there.
Let's see. You have more hope than us.
That's the same thing with a couple. You pray you get there. You get what I'm saying? Even you pray that you get there. There is no guarantee if both of you are not ready to work together, and the hardest one, submitting one to the other.
I see. The molding, submit. We'll talk about this submission thing, because you see, we'll talk about submission very late. Dr. Julius, what comes to mind?
No, I will start by saying there are very many perfect couples. I know I'm shocking you, but there are very many.
I'm shocked as well.
There are so many. There are so many.
Shocked, yes.
But in our minds. You get it?
Okay, that is true. I agree.
And in the future.
But
when I look at what the journey that we've taken together, I remember, I will say it the real way. In our first 2 years, was chaotic. Very chaotic. No physical fights. No cheating, but misunderstandings. Until we looked, like what he says, we looked at another couple. And we decided we want to find out how have you worked it out, and why are you guys happy?
So you see that other couple was perfect. That's why Mulisemba.
They looked like perfect.
From the outside looking like.
From the outside. Until when we went to them and they told us, we have also worked it out. Just like before, you know, when we've come over here, there's so much set up behind the scenes. There is so much towards perfection. Eventually that note is hit and the show starts. And so in the same way, when I look at all of us here, this guy has got a nice haircut, almost perfect. Almost perfect. And he has been somewhere. There's somebody who would want probably to have the same beard cut, the same way all of us are looking nice here, but there's a preparation. And that is what most people miss out. That those guys who are looking like they're perfect, there's a lot of work they have put in. We have put in a lot of work. We've had conflicts where we sit and we work on them, and eventually we have solutions. But we have never attained perfection. there are things that she has looked and she has agreed this game may never change. So, nitaichukua hivyo. There are things I've looked at her and I know she will not change. And I deal with them that way. So when you see perfection on the outside, people must be ready to also work with those people and find out what is behind the scenes. And when they begin to do what is behind the scenes, then they will begin to attain something. But I will not call it perfection. I will call it something good.
Something good.
Yeah, something question good. I have a question. Here's the thing. Even a statement at the same time. I don't think everybody is worth building a perfect relationship with in the first place. You have to, I'm thinking even there has to be something that you have to recognize that indeed this person is worth building something with. And not even the fact that indeed we have actually worked hard towards some perfection, but then now the kind of thing that this person is bringing into this relationship is a bunch of nonsense, empty hollowness, and just fluff. And that's the truth, because even I think even for the fact that if what you're saying about the perfect couple, not everybody can actually build a perfect relationship with so much imperfection that's going on in this other individual. And how can you even build something that's perfect when in fact there are even people who don't even understand even themselves to the extent they can't even build anything beyond even themselves to even seek to understand someone else, and yet even go outside themselves.
Now I want to say, number one, whoever you relate with is your choice.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of choice.
And whoever you leave behind is also your choice.
Life is a total sum of choices.
Yes.
And I believe before you look out for that person, work on you.
That's the truth.
Here's the issue I would have with that. Let me just ask you. You guys have not grown within your relationship and actually even grown as individuals. When someone says, work on yourself before you get into a relationship, that presumes that indeed there's no growth that actually happens within a relationship. That is not the truth. That is not the truth. By the way, the truth is that she has fed you to the extent that you become the man that you are. Definitely. And he has even fed you to the extent that you become the woman that you are. And you're saying that indeed that growth has not happened within the context of a relationship and it can happen outside?
No, let me tell you this. I will say this.
He's way up out of the point.
Out of the point.
That's the point. That's what I'm asking. Go ahead.
This one is
what I will say is this. We always attract who we are.
Yes.
Now, for example, the car that you drive, it is what you can afford. So that means that car is actually attracted to you because that's your level. And if you are searching out those people who say, oh, I married a horrible guy, that's who they were attracting. And that's where we say growth has to happen before. Because there's the growth that comes in before, and there's a growth that happens within the journey.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not even intentional. Sometimes there are things you go through. Like when a child comes, there are things you're not even trained to. I remember when she was getting her first baby, and I'm thinking, I don't know how to be a father. I have no clue on how to raise a son. And I call one guy in Dubai and tells me he has read 4 books. I have read none. But I grew. In the process of fathering, I grew. Okay. So there are some things that you grow before, there are things that will grow in the relationship unintentionally. And there are things that you will have to do intentionally.
Absolutely.
Like having a haircut.
Me?
You have to be intentional.
By the way.
It has happened twice now. It has happened twice now. So I think what happens is we have been fed a certain thing. There are things we look at social media. There are angles, filters, edits. And we've seen brands come together. And we know for sure these two people are just together because they're being paid by NTV. You know. So there's a lot of miscommunication when it comes to who the perfect couple is or what we are fed from maybe what we're watching on TV, what we're seeing on social media and all of that. And so for the people who are watching, sisi wenye bado hatujaingia huko ndani kwa ndoa, we're seeing this and we're just like, this is what I would like. But then listening to this conversation, it looks very, very different. It's very different from what we see because there's the work that we are not shown. So when it comes to social media, what would you say, Amma, what would you advise? And if looking at your own lives, what you portray to us, do you feel like you probably mislead-ish? Do you show the back end data of what it looks like when it's not happy, when it's not good, when we are struggling? Do you take the time to show that as well or talk about it?
Actually, we are real. And that's why we've talked of our journey. We've talked of our journey selling omena.
Yes.
I want to hear.
We have talked of our journeys in Gikomba.
The journey. Yeah.
Because at times people look at you where you at the point at which you are at, and most people relate with your point.
Yes.
Because they don't have a vision into your future or into your past unless you open a door to your past.
Yeah.
And I think what we need to understand, even for the people you see in the social media, they've got a door into their past that they make a choice whether or not to open.
Yes.
And to let you in.
Yes.
And now, if you are not roped into their past to see the making of this moment, at times you live at that moment. And many people judge the lifespan by a moment. I want to be what I've seen, what I've watched for those 30 minutes. Perhaps it was crafted, it was edited, it was everything. But I want to say, for us who don't do any shows on relationships, as in, on our day-to-day, we are just we. And that's why at times, for anybody we counsel on marital issues, we take them to a history.
Yeah.
And we show them this was the beginning, and we talk openly about it.
Yeah.
Because we were made those days, I would wake up very early and go to the Gikomba to sell shoes, or the times we'd go and get ties, and then I go and hawk them, because life has its seasons.
Yes, true.
And men are in sizes. So at times you look at a person who has gone through it, we didn't see the past, but now we see a car, we see a good house, and you want that. But you do not want the journey of making to that position.
So then, with that said, I know you need to take a break, but we can answer this after. So with everything that you've said, and you've rebelled against, is it possible then to say you can achieve perfection?
I would say this.
No, we're going to break.
You're nodding your head. You say yes. I'm starting to.
We are going to take a very short commercial break right now. So please keep it right here. It's NTV Kenya on Facebook, NTV Kenya on X, on TikTok, on IG as well. And the question we're asking you today is, do you think the perfect couple exists? Kama hata ni wewe tuambie, it is me and my person. Let us know, and we will be checking your feedback in just a bit. Don't go too far. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to your world. It's Tuesday. It's All Matters Relationships, and you're looking at the perfect couple. Does it exist? Is it a myth? Is it kuna kaukweli hapo? And the question of the day today is there such thing as a perfect couple? If you know someone, if you are that someone, if you do not believe it exists, please, it's NTV Kenya on Facebook, NTV Kenya on X, IG, and TikTok. Let us know what your thoughts are on the question of the day. It is heated. The show that is happening online, offline, between the breaks, Winnie.
Maybe let me tell you, and I said this to Kianza show, and I still maintain there's that thing as a perfect couple.
Yes.
Kunayo. And the question, like we kindly said, it's all about perfection and that perfect couple today, and it's a very simple question. I can see a number of you have a lot to say on the question of the day, and that is there such thing as a perfect couple? Let me tell you what people are saying. Dennis Wangila Wasike agrees with me and says, yes, there is, only that they are in other marriages.
Does he agree with you?
That is not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I promise, that's not what I meant. Hey, Salome J. Marangu, author, says, wait, what? Children born from the same parents, different, how adults who met in a... Wait, no, it's the same thing. Children born from same parents, different, how can adults who met in adulthood, each having been raised differently, be perfect together? Oh, children born from the same parent, they cannot, but so how can adults raised by different parents? Yes. No, but Amendelia Kasema, it's not about perfection, rather finding balance. Balance. You know that song? Balance. Okay, wait, I digress. Peter Grace Njonjo says every marriage has its own distinction, and it's within those distinctions that you define what's perfect. See what I was saying? Yeah. Anakuja. But higher. Yeah, mwingine anasema Sahara Wine says, yes, on social media only.
But that's true. I'm thinking even social media is the only place where you get even perfect couples, because then here's the thing.
Yeah.
Can you say that it's a perfect couple because they don't look alike? For example, if the guy is shorter than the girl, are you going to say that that's a perfect looking couple? Are you going to see some dynamics that people will say perfect couple? There also has to be aesthetics.
I think there's some aesthetics that's also
involved. There's some aesthetics that's also involved for people to say, oh, this is such a perfect couple.
Yeah.
That's why even I say the whole perfect couple thing that's portrayed out there, that's actually very toxic to people.
It's very toxic.
It's very toxic to people.
Why?
Yeah, so even I'll say you guys also.
No.
Because in a good way, because it motivates people to either, now this is a standard I have to live up to, or this is a way I have to portray myself in public, or because we are known as the perfect couple, there's a way we have to show ourselves, there's a way we have to step out into the world, and there's a way, and there's some issues that we actually have to leave in the house. Because how many of your celebrity friends out there who you've seen is like, and they look like a perfect couple? Because there's a big thing of portrayal of a perfect couple rather than actually living in perfect harmony together. Whether the pursuit of a perfect couple.
But is that such a bad thing? Because again, see how we always talk about role models and we look up to someone, you know, and we look up to something, we look up to some people, okay? So is it such a bad thing to not to portray perfection, but show the good side? Because then if we all no, let me finish. If we walk around with all our imperfections and all our issues and we air it out there, then there's nothing to look up to.
But people do that all the time. They post all their traumas out there. They're saying, oh my, he was very traumatic, but then we overcame it. They post all their therapy talk. It's out there. Even you've seen all that.
People don't like to see that.
People talk about no, let me say that. People love talking therapy talk out there, saying what they've actually conquered and what they've actually been through, or Simon has actually gone to therapy. He's gotten himself better for the relationship, showing that indeed they're doing the work, real work. But they're not. They're just doing therapy. They're just giving us all talk.
My question would then be to you. What would you rather see?
I would actually rather see none of it. And here's what none of it. No, here's the thing. No. Here's the thing. Because that content actually is specific even for ladies. And I want to say that specifically. That's why this perfect couple thing is only specific for ladies. They consume it the most. Us guys are not busy consuming following couples. And if you are as a guy, but then the main thing is true. We're not busy following this. It's ladies. It's literally a relationship. That's what it is. It's for ladies. It's not for us guys. It's the truth.
I like what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he's speaking what is out there.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people who are thinking, actually, it is not the couples who say they're perfect. It is the people who say
think
that is a perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I will use an example of things that we always go for. For example, cars. They are perfect cars.
Yes.
When you look at them, they are good. But if you talk to the guys who have been driving them around, they will tell you, iko na shida yake. And now what happens, what I would rather say is that, but there has to be standards. Because if we don't portray standards, then
there's nothing to look at.
There is nothing to. Marriage has got standards. For example, by the fact that we are a couple and we are also counselors and we are in the media, what has happened? There are things that we have had to work on ourselves. Because we say we have to be an example and not faking it. Sitting down and saying we have to raise our standards when it comes, for example, to communication, to the way that we dress, to the way we behave outside there. Because if we don't do that, there's somebody who is copying our standard. And if they miss our standard, or we mess up, then the standard for marriage at a particular level shall go down. So what I usually say is this journey, there is a place called perfection. But what most people miss out is the enjoyment of the journey. As you are coming here, the perfection was coming to this place, to this show. But the journey along, we have seen trees, we have seen people, we have enjoyed it. Now many people miss it out as they seek for that moment of perfection.
See, you have answered my question. Is it possible to achieve perfection over time? Yes, Dr. J.
No, I totally agree with him.
Yeah.
And there's something I want to say about what our friend here has said, and the ladies consume it a lot. And I want also to address the ladies who are listening.
Yes.
I think it's important to also become real.
Yeah.
Because every woman wants to be, not every, some women at a certain age want to be like somebody. I think it's better if you discover you and you work at becoming the best of you, and whatever you get outside there, borrow it if it works and resonates with you and your relationship. Because a lot of ladies are breaking up very happy relationships because possibly the guy is from a certain place in Mount Kenya, and I'm not pointing,
Continue.
where perhaps they didn't learn the love language, the flowers, the word, and perhaps that's what you have seen. You've seen guys go, but then you know you never went on your knee for me.
Is that what you're saying?
You get what I'm saying?
It's true.
It's true. So,
But you said yes.
yeah, but I said yes. You know why?
There are some people who think going on the knee is perfection.
Oh, they see now. Yes.
If that was the standard, if that was the standard, I would have not gotten married.
That's where I am
Because
at.
Murima
At times we look at people and we judge at at very small things. Especially the things we see. Who would have hated you to go on your knee? You didn't. Of what comes in me. And so now, I was not going to miss out on a good man because of the new moment. I was not going to miss out on a good... In fact, the proposal was done over the phone. Who does that?
Here's the question.
Who does that? If it was today,
the truth for most guys, the one of the things we fear most is to be told no. So afadhali kwanza kuambiwa yes kwa simu.
Wewe uko una prepare, usikie kwanza mood iko aje. But were you ever planning to go down on one knee?
No knee. We had in primary school that was a punishment.
You hear this?
Sometimes, and maybe before I continue, you could just finish your point.
So what I'm saying is this: we are put standards. Most girls are put standards. For my proposal, this guy, and then I'll throw my hands, I'll pray. You know all those things. And if it doesn't happen within that context, you imagine this guy is not a good man. He is a good man. Romantic. And at times, some of them imagine, I need a marriage where we'll need to go to this destination for honeymoon. We'll spend this amount, he'll buy my dress. And when these things don't happen, we give up on very good men. And I want to tell these girls, most of these men, the gold, the diamond is chiseled and is hidden in coal. It's a matter of the process of time. And then the diamond emerges.
And the church says,
don't lose out on the diamond because it looks like he has some coal on him. That carbon is a diamond.
Even if my haircut is not complete.
Almost perfect. Can I go through some of the things and then we continue? Well, let me tell you, the pressure is increasing. But just a reminder that we're coming to you from 109 Tavern right here in Nairobi on Ngongru. Tuko wapi? Karen. Tuko Karen Leo. And the question that we're asking you is very simple, okay? Is there such thing as a perfect couple? Me, I'm crying over here, laughing, Someone else says, Marianne Josephine says, maybe in the next world. Guys, what happened? I couldn't believe like me. Noella says, on social media, everyone has a perfect plan how people should do with their lives, but lack a plan how they should do with their own lives. So tunaangalia nje tunasahau within. Sharon Alma says, yes, a perfect couple are those ones who would fight, argue for something, and in the end apologize and get to a mutual agreement. A perfect couple are the ones who separate and still get back together. A perfect couple are the ones who support each other in public even when they argue in private. I mean, it's not about perfection, it's about the ups and downs, and yet get through together, that makes you a perfect couple. Sasa huyu ndo ameshika ile kitu mimi nilikuwa nasema. Huna perfection.
I think in all those things that I've actually even heard, perfection comes with the work. But it's conflict resolution. I've seen the conflict resolution is a big thing.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know how to they go to silent treatment and then they just keep quiet on you and they don't reply your text. You know those people that behave like that, right, Winnie?
Stop. This one.
Yes.
Continue.
Continue feedback. Someone else says, Naftal Omanga says, no, there isn't such thing as perfect couple because the concept of perfection is unattainable and relationships are complex and dynamic, involving constant growth and change. And then Alvi says, yes, trial and tribulation. Perfect. And then the last one says, this is Raymond Mita Wangare, says there are two single people to a point they have normalized being single. Too much single parenting, they have normalized it. Normalizing it is doing too much harm than good. One going to a relationship saying if it doesn't work, so has been single, and I can be single too. Oh, we've normalized walking out because Nani is single, I can also be single. Okay. And then Haron says, nothing like perfect couples. People assume other things to save their families. Otherwise, tukiamua ku open up, kila mtu atakuwa singular.
It's true.
Right?
And I think maybe Dr. Jane and Dr. Julius, you can give us maybe a situation that was very difficult
in the journey,
in your relationship, in your journey as well, other than the financial bit of things where vitu zilikuwa tough, like in relating, mahali tulikuwa pengine hata kuna story nilishaisikia ingine on Elevate where this couple, they were really nice, but then the gentleman, they got mad at each other for something, and then this gentleman wrote at night, when you wake up, wake me up at 6. Akaeka kakaratasi kwa pillow. The lady woke up at 6 and wrote a piece of paper. Wake up at 6. So the guy, of course, was late. But then that for them was the highlight of, like, why were we not talking to each other?
Yes.
Like it was something about them, and that is what I'm looking at. I don't know if I'm poking holes, but please, to say Dieni.
I don't, okay, let me say, and this I say it very often.
Yes.
We are normal people in a normal world.
All right.
And everybody grows with you get married as an individual. So you've got your own goals and you have a path of life.
Yeah.
And marriage, to us, how we define it, is like two eggs that you want to make an omelet. You add this, you add this, but you beat them together to become one.
Yes.
So that beating them together to become one is a process at times how you feel like you've chiseled too much. And perhaps for me, I can mention of when we initially got married, and he lost his job. Yeah, he lost his job while we were on our honeymoon.
Okay.
And as every other lady, of course, had expectations.
Yes.
And here he has lost his job. And he doesn't know how to handle himself from this provider.
To now
and he was even driving. Now there is not even a car. And people behave differently and they react differently to stresses and storms.
True.
People behave differently to stresses and the storms of life. So for him, and as most men do, is to internalize. So he first internalized. But his internalizing, to me, took too long. No, for the men, they take time to decide. They're very analytical.
Yes.
Oh, why did I lose this job? Then how do I go? How do I heal from this so that I can now get the strength?
Yes.
And at that point, I used to think this guy is very lazy because, yes, he's been hardworking and he's brought me this far, us this far. But now he's not making up his mind to wake up and do something. And at that point, there was a lot of questions, and of course, there comes in the silent moment. I would go work, and of course, there was food, there was everything, but it was now that distance of who are you? And many times we don't understand the other partner when conflict arises. And when they go through a storm that was not anticipated, because everybody behaves differently.
True.
And I would have expected, for me, I'll take an easy way route. Quickly, the following day, I will think of what to do. And later on, it was to bring us now to a journey where we had to get decisions and make up very hard decisions. But we decided now we'll walk into it.
Yeah.
And so he would go to Gekomba, get ties, bring to me, and I hope, you know, I'm a better salesperson. He's not very talkative. And I would actually sell all the time. And you know, we knew the label, so I'll come and tell you, this is a Lacoste tie.
Wow.
You don't even know what Lacoste is. By the time you're thinking of what Lacoste is and the confidence I'm wearing, you are bought.
Yes.
And so from there, went now to Kayole. And I started selling omena. He would take a very big gazette, cover his face, hide behind the omena, and he's wearing a suit. I mean, I was like, life has happened, let life happen.
Yes.
It took a process because our firstborn, our son, was born by that time. And okay, we'll not give you everything. We went through the process. And at that point, God opened for us an opportunity to start a school. My first degree was education. And so we started the school. And now we got a chance for our masters and continuing. The question was, how many people will still live at this time when this gentleman has lost his job, and you're thinking, I left my father's house. It may not have been a big mansion, but at least there was food and there was sure
Right?
to get on.
Let me ask him a question. Let me ask you a question. Isn't it like very crucial for you, even as a man, for the fact that even when you are down, that moment in time, that your wife still believed in you?
That's the whole thing. The only thing that kept me in that relationship, because we would argue. A lot of arguments. Because in my mind, I was trying to find myself, where is this man? Is a man defined by the submission of the wife? Or is it by the provision?
That is.
And so when she goes to work, I would eat and don't wash the dishes, not move anything. She comes back home, I tell her, you're the woman. The man. That was me. That was my definition. Because I thought this is the only thing that can prove that I'm a man.
You need to submit because you're the woman.
Exactly. So there was and within all this, there's a turmoil that is going on because I am defined, most men, we are defined by the work that we do. Of course. So I have nothing to define me. And suddenly I remember there are moments I would not talk to her. Because she has come and asked me, why didn't you wash the dishes? And I'm like, why should you ask me such a question?
We need to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I don't know what you will do. I don't know what to do. We'll probably create more room. We have Miriam joining us in a bit. Yanni, do you think there's such a thing as a perfect couple? Does it exist even? If you think it does, if you think it doesn't, if you think you're in one, it's NTV Kenya on all social media platforms. You can tag me and it's Mikali Mary and it's a Lubembe _ Winnie, right? And we will be right back after this break. Don't go too far.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let me tell you, the conversation that goes on behind, tukisema break, alafu tuna pause kidogo, and then watu wa programming wetu wakishachukua, the conversation that goes on behind. I wish we had another camera to just take, but it is okay. Glad you're still with us. The show is Your World, and it's Relationship Tuesday. We're coming to you from 109 Tavern right here in Karen, and we're trying to understand, is there such thing as a perfect couple? Okay, mimi nimesema. Simon Says cannot convince me otherwise. There is that thing as perfect couple. But really, do you believe, is there such thing as a perfect couple? And the question that we're asking you today is the very same. Is there such thing as a perfect couple? Let me tell you what people are saying. So, Fra Niwagira Deogracias, OFM. on Facebook says, yes, look at your parents.
Are they really perfect though?
Will you look at your parents?
I would. I've seen them as humans now.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's
fair. That's fair. Kibet Charles says, never in history. And then Terry Nalieka says, no. Two imperfect people working to ensure they perfect what they share. Being intentional about your marriage, okay? And then AJ Steph says, no such thing as perfect, but open conversation makes it beautiful, okay? And then Land Limit says, immediate extent couple. Just immediate extent couples, nini after nini, you know? But keep sending in your views and your comments on our Facebook and not Instagram, our Facebook, our X pages, and also on YouTube, because we're live on YouTube as well on the question of the day, and that is there such thing as a perfect couple? We'll be going through it as we continue with the show, but right about now we are joined by Miriam. She's here with us. You are following the conversation.
Oh, yes, I was.
Is there such thing? Yeah?
I will answer by asking a question.
Okay. Question number, and then the question is there on the screen
too. Is there such thing as perfect people?
No.
If you can say yes to that, then they are perfect couples, and I don't think they are perfect people.
No. They are perfect people because they have understood look at him, they have understood their flaws, they know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and they have made peace with it. So after when they're going into a relationship, they're not going into a relationship at all without flaws, without all those things. No. They have understood who they are.
That's tricky. So is it, and it's not just to Winnie, yes. Is it perfect according to you?
Yes.
Or perfect according to the people you're getting into the relationship with?
So to me, it's perfect according to you.
So you present yourself as, I am perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
And you accept them because you will not probably be looking at them as perfectly imperfect. You probably have an expectation of hata haujui uko na hiyo shida wewe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think perception is also like a big Miriam.
I think for me, why I have a problem with perfect, and I'm so glad you guys wrote it in quotes.
Yes.
Is because the minute you have the illusion of perfection in your head, then you will not withstand the flaws.
Okay.
You will not withstand the miscommunication, the conflicts and everything, because you already have such a bar in your head. I'm supposed to be in a perfect relationship. And this perfect relationship is not working the way I have seen it in my head. And you know, people will never be the way you've seen them in your head. That's why we are people.
True.
You know, if we were robots, then you preset. I want this thing to behave like this, and that's the way you expect it to behave because you have preset it.
Like you can do that through molding, like Dr. Jen said.
I don't know. I would even say the concept of a perfect couple is toxic. I would even say that's even toxic. I would say even the concept of a perfect couple, based on what she said, is even a toxic idea in which now you want to quote unquote now adjust someone according to your preferences, and then now reset them down to default settings, so you can now add insult. We're helping for your outcome that you want, not the way that they want. And actually, even what you said about perfect people, like you said, people can perceive themselves as perfect. Saying that you're perfect does not mean that you are.
True.
Just because you think that you're perfect,
it doesn't mean that you are.
Flaws, that's not the definition of perfection.
I said imperfect.
Perfection is not a definition that you just say, I think so I am.
Imperfectly perfect.
No, you're not imperfectly perfect. You're an imperfect human being full of blemishes, and perfection is a journey in which you will never acquire.
So that's the mean.
You will never acquire.
Get popcorns.
You will never acquire. Or am I lying?
No, but they said it's a journey.
You're saying something, of course, what you're saying is that she has said something about they're not perfect people.
Yes.
But one thing that I have seen, people who make perfect things, and I wonder why they make perfect things.
Because
I look at a plane, and I see a plane is almost a perfect thing. I mean, it's like the best journey that you can ever take is in a plane. Yes. That means there are people who have been able to attain perfection in the mechanical world, but we have refused to seek perfection. And what is perfection?
Yes.
Perfection, I'm not saying, is not having no flaw. In fact, the beginning is understanding your partner the way they are, and that's why we say God is perfect. Now, that the fact that God is perfect,
and he
actually sees, he understands all our weaknesses, and he works on bringing us to his level.
Yeah.
He never gives up. That is why he's a perfect God.
Yes.
And so, in this aspect, and I'm not saying there is a perfect couple, what I'm saying is that it is possible to attain, but many people are not willing.
Yes.
They are not willing.
People don't.
Because they have seen so many people fail, so they say this cannot be done. But if you were to follow the principles, just like if you have a vehicle, there is a way it can remain perfect. In perfect condition. We have seen perfect condition. Why? Because of the way you are maintaining it. You can maintain your relationship in such a balance, because the key word here, if you can attain balance, where you are saying, I understand my spouse, her weaknesses or his weaknesses, then you have come to a place where you have a perfect balance, then that is perfection.
Actually, can I add something towards that?
Yeah.
What we do, we become very lax. And most people, when they get into a relationship, stroke into a marriage, because now we are talking of couples, what they do, they become relaxed in mefika. And they forget that it is the beginning of a journey.
Yes.
It is actually not the end. But most people rest at the end. They don't work on improving their communication. And that's why I talked in the beginning about adding value to yourself. Very important, and hence adding value to the other person. Because if I add value to myself and I'm able to communicate better, I'll be a better communicator to my spouse. True or not true?
True.
If I add value at dealing with, assuming there was an issue with temper, and I'm able to deal with anger for the couples that deal with anger, then I've added value to the other person. We are taking steps towards. And so I don't think we need to thresh marriage and say marriage is for cannot work, because that has been a mindset. Marriage cannot work. This thing is a scam. This thing is toxic. And every other word has been thrown towards it. It's only a people. And I asked something, if we can seek knowledge to the highest level, it's because you sit, you study, you work, you internalize, then you produce. Why not do the same on marriage and relationships? Because if we have got books that will lead us towards a study, and I can do whatever, like, okay, we have done many things, many different schools of thought. We have studied them and we have mastered. Why have we mastered counseling psychology? We studied. Why don't people take time and study and ask relevant questions that will add value and ask from people they think have made it in an area? You know, we don't make it in all areas once.
That's true.
You don't make it in all areas once. There's a couple that's very good in communication, but perhaps they're not good in dealing with anger. There's a couple that has dealt with anger, but they're not very good with their finances. So you perfect an area at a time. Over time, there are many areas you'll have been a master of.
That's true. But the only question I have is when you say that, you see, when you're saying that we have to study other things and everything, the reason why we don't study relationships passionately is because when we get into relationships, that's when we become the most vulnerable with an individual. That's why even sometimes you don't realize the position, the extreme that your anger can actually be until you're emotionally involved with another human being. You have to remember, you're talking about a perfect relationship, but you're also dealing with another human being who brings up their own baggage in your life. Then you have to deal with their mess. She had a bad day, so G. Mokali looked at her in a certain way, then all of a sudden she's feeling some type of way. The producer was saying this, and then I have to take in all that. The question of constantly making space for that individual, it's actually now, it's even a headache. It's almost like a job. Being honest, it's almost like a job, being very honest. It's almost like, this is like a job. You have to treat it like a job. Because you have to actually log in, and you have to actually engage, and you have to actually play your role.
The difference of being in a relationship. The difference of being in a relationship is that there's something binding you together. not only are there hormones, vasopressin and oxytocins that bind you together and make you so much one that you can be able to handle somebody's quote-unquote nonsense and not somebody else's nonsense, is because there is something already that makes you monogamous in a relationship. That is, let me know.
I'm intrigued. I'm listening.
Where are we going?
We're going there, sir.
No, let me get to where I'm going. And so what I say is this. Before you go to become monogamous, deal with your own baggage. And that's why I talked about adding value to yourself. And I believe, and I talk to young people because I had a topic on baggage and garbage. We had a whole topic with our youth in church on baggage and garbage. And a lot of people are carrying a lot of baggage and a lot of garbage. A lot of garbage they've collected everywhere. And nowadays you can collect them in many places and you internalize them. So what am I saying? And she will add to this. I believe I need to work on me, and it's a continuous process. So that when I get to the other person, which is also a continuous a situation, the relationship can work. When I talk about monogamous, perhaps don't mistake me, I was talking about a certain hormone called vasopressin and oxytocin. In a couple, it makes them one. Are we together? There are hormones that are produced, and that's over time you say, wanafanana.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there is a hormone, and it is deeper, which I won't get into. The oxytocin and vasopressin that is produced makes you one, and you're constantly being made one. Why? So that I can carry your journey, you can carry my journey without pain and without hitches, because there's already something at play that is making us one. That is called, in other words, the hormone that makes you just monogamous. You to stick to yourself, monogamous hormone. So when it is at work in a relationship, it is different from people who are dating outside there.
That's true.
It is very different. So we can't relate this with just somebody who has a girlfriend outside there. And they're saying, but mine is toxic. No, take time, mature. Marriage is for maturity.
Well, Johnny,
I really like what Dr. Jane has said. In fact, when I was behind the scene listening, you know, when you guys are talking about perfect couple, in my head I kept saying, they may not be perfect couple, but they're mature couples. And that is something that she's just said right now. Marriage is for the mature. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, marriage and even relationships, they navigate so many seasons. Like now I'm thinking, you know, when Dr. Jane was talking about Dr. Julius losing his job and he kept quiet, the situation changed him. He was no longer the man she married. And she had to learn how to navigate with this new man. So that's what a relationship is. It's about seasons and occurrences. And those seasons change someone. I remember, like, you know, being in a relationship, and I thought, I used to think I'm the most amicable, most, you know, cordial.
Easy,
like, I thought all those nice, actually perfect human being. I thought I'm, you know. All of a sudden, this guy tells me, you know, Miriam, you're usually so defensive. Me?
I am perfect. What
I was so shocked. But you see, that's what a relationship does.
It exposes something.
It exposes some things that if you are mature enough, will work on. But if you're not mature, you will end up being more defensive, arrogant, and you will end up breaking that relationship with your own hands because you don't want to navigate through the seasons and through the changes that are coming. And you don't want to change yourself to adapt because you're too
But there's some people who are not worth it. Let's be real. There's some people who are not worth it. No, but I'm saying you only realize, for example, here's what I mean. You actually can only know, let's say, Mwikali here, but then you don't know the type of Mwikali that's involved when you actually now having serious conversations in a relationship, when you now start getting into each other's business, because there's a lot of layers that unfold when you actually get into a relationship. There are aspects of him that even you're learning even today, because even he is changing as an individual, because we're always changing as individuals. Even the Simon that you're seeing right now was not the Simon that you saw 3 months ago. It's a different thing because we learn through experiences, and when we learn through the experiences. Now it's the headache of wondering, where am I gonna, do I really want to go through this journey with this individual, or they are just not worth the struggle?
Isn't that then the reason why you decide what you can take and what you can't? If you can't, you just say, you know what, it's not working, goodbye. Unlike marriage, where I do, whether they went down on one knee or not. As long as you say yes, Munasema, let's work through it and let's see, let's make it work. No?
Even in marriage, there's some divorce has to be there sometimes. Let's not put sometimes.
I agree what you're saying. Yeah. This journey of marriage, number one, it is for the mature.
Yes.
Yeah. Number two, it is for people who are willing to work it out. If everybody, let me say, especially for the guys who are watching, if everybody would work on marriage the way they work on their cars, sometimes you don't give up. You find let me tell you, you will find us spending a night watching a car that is broken down because you want to repair it tomorrow.
Yes.
But your wife breaks down in the night and you go away.
You run.
Now, that's where you run. The same thing. A woman will do anything to repair her jiko or her whatever, her oven, and she can persevere it when it is smoking and all that until it becomes perfect.
Yes.
But when a man begins to smoke, not smoking really, I mean smoke in terms of chaos,
yes,
they will walk away. So what I'm saying, it is the work that everybody is willing to put into that relationship. When I look at my wife here, there are values I see and I'm like, this person adds value to me in a certain way. I will overlook some of the flaws, and that's what we call perfection. Being able to overlook some flaws. Not that they don't affect you, but you have just chosen, I'm overlooking. And the moment you are able to overlook some things, let me tell you, you have become, you have already walking towards perfection, because that's what God does. He overlooks. In fact, right now, if he was to look at us, the mistakes we have made for morning would be dead. But his perfection is looking at us and says, I understand your weakness, I understand that person weakness, I will strengthen them where they can't strengthen, I will try to put them in order, and I wish everybody would work on their marriage the same. But she has said something very powerful. That aspect of being able to correct each other and listening and changing, because if she's defensive and she remains that way, and she's married to him, he will walk away because he's not ready to change. But the thing is, if she's willing to change, then there will be accommodation. And you also, who is saying be good, you also have to be willing to change, because that person, there are things they don't like about you. That is it.
So we do change in relationships.
Yes.
So this happens a lot. Then now, with the changes that we see in relationships that we agreed on, so with all these changes that we see in relationships, and we're here saying a perfect couple, there is no perfection, because literally now all we're doing is we're changing from who we were 3 months ago, who we were through this experience. Because what happens is we behave imperfectly in different situations. Even you two may be having, like for example, you may be navigating him, it's this way, no, it's that way. He behaves imperfectly by taking authority and saying that, no, let me just go this way, but he behaved a certain way, but he adjusts accordingly. I guess now, in that situation, he behaved imperfectly. But then now what happens is, through many situations of adjustment, I guess that's where you work towards perfection? Or what are you saying? Why are you saying no?
Do you learn, when all these things are happening, are you learning? Are you learning better ways of handling things? If walking away was the thing that you were doing instead of facing it, then you know when next time we argue, I will not walk away, I will not slam the door, because from the previous, I have changed a bit. I am more accommodative now. I know she gets angry, I will learn how to, now let's calm down, let's talk about it, instead of the things that I used to be. So when we look at big things, we are, sometimes it's not those things, it's the small things. How you adjust yourself, how they adjust themselves. Not because they're becoming different people, they're becoming better people.
Exactly.
Yes.
And let me add and say, when you stop changing, you die.
That's true.
You stop evolving, you die. We evolve every day.
Yes.
The Miriam I was yesterday is not the Miriam I am today.
Yeah.
I am here experiencing this experience of being here. It has definitely changed me.
Yes.
Now, how will that change? How will I carry forward that change? Has it changed me to become a better person?
Or worse?
A wiser person? Worse, you know? So we are malleable, and that's how God created us, because we have to adapt to the currents of life. The same thing with relationship. And I add on and say, the question you ask yourself when you're getting into a relationship, and I always say this, and I think I said it in the last show, why am I getting into this relationship?
In the first
Who
place.
am I
Yeah.
as I get into this relationship? And how important is this relationship to me? I like a comment that someone made, and we might have trivialized it when they said our parents were perfect couples.
Yeah.
They had their flaws, completely flawed, but they were perfect in one thing.
Yeah.
They chose to stick to each
Together.
other despite everything. They learned to navigate the currents together. They learned to navigate the seasons. They adapted to those seasons, adapted to each other, and that's how come we can still say, even in their 70s and 80s, our parents are together.
Yeah.
And they can sit now and laugh like two old friends.
Yes.
But they went through craziness. But the questions they asked themselves, how important is this relationship to us?
I have a question. Even for this perfect couple, can you guys be perfect? Can you guys be perfect for each other and not together? That happens because you guys are perfect for each other, but then you guys are not together.
No, let me say this. You see, you cannot. There's no way you cannot be together with somebody unless you have something that you yearn for them. You see, the thing is, everybody, when they are checked on their own, they are perfect.
Yeah.
But marriage is about compromises. Actually, it's about meeting the other person's need. That's why you will see somebody, a couple that looks imperfect, but if you step into their lives, they are so happy. They are so happy because you are judging them from outside, they're imperfect. But for them, they are like, this is the perfect thing that I ever have. Because at the end of the day, it is about two people. Now, what we said, a lot of people are looking from the outside and saying a perfect couple. And that's a mistake that they are making. Instead of looking at who they are and saying, when two of us, can we be able to work on these things? The institute called marriage has got standards. And those standards, when they are kept to the letter, just like the way every phone that you have, you don't put it in water, it will not work. If you put your some will
nowadays,
not work. But that's a very good thing. The way some of them will not work. And that is in the same way. There are people, you put them in a certain situation, they'll malfunction because that is not their perfect arena. So they are no perfect couples. But if you step into those marriages, you'll begin to see the way they are working together, the balance that they have, because balance can never be attained unless, if actually balance is perfection. If everybody can be balanced in a marriage, they have attained perfection.
Oh, I like that.
I have a
balance.
Sorry, Winnie, I see you're going to social
Yes, I want to think
a lot. I have a quick one. Do you think, and to all of you, Ata Winnie, do you think you can be with someone and they are perfect for you? So it's not them saying, I am perfect. But you being with them is just, he is so perfect. He is, you know.
I think in all honesty, I agree with you. In all honesty, I don't even think it's upon the person who's quote unquote perfect to actually define themselves as that. It's other people to actually even say that you're perfect. You're perfect for someone. You're not perfect as an individual in the sense that your values, your character, and all that, even your toxic levels. I love that. I love it. You, and all of it matches with even my character, my extroverted character. You're maybe more quiet and mellow. It matches because even your energy levels also matches. So many other things have to match.
We've had our friends even saying he is perfect for you, or even us telling our friends she is perfect for you, because there's some different aspects that we can see and say, you know what, they're actually perfect. So yes, I have been saying that since the show started. You will not be listening. We need to go on a break.
Oh, sorry.
And then when we come back, we'll give you a chance to all answer that, because I know we all have different answers as to that, really good question. But also, there are some people on social media who have sort of like bow to that pressure of perfection. We need to be perfect because this is how people see us, right? So then how do you navigate that? And how do you work towards attaining perfection? Because like we said, it's a journey. Hey, it's a journey. So then how do we get there? So we'll also go through some of your feedback as well on our socials, and that is at NTV Kenya, both on Facebook and on X, on the question that we're asking you, and that is there such thing as a perfect couple? So much to discuss on the other side of the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. We are in the last few minutes of the show. That is Your World on this Relationship Tuesday, and we're trying to understand, is there such thing as a perfect couple? And just a reminder that we're coming to you from 109.7 right here in Karen. And the question that we're asking you is very simple, and it's what we're trying to understand, okay? Is there such thing as a perfect couple? And a number of you have a lot to say. Not even a number of you, a lot of you have a lot to say as regards to the same. And the question is there on your screen. Is there such thing as a perfect couple? Christian Brotherhood this is on X, They say, yes, they do exist, but it depends on what you call perfect. Is it by material or is it by standards? Or how excellent and affluent is called perfection? Display of affection in public? No. A perfect couple is the one where both of them find peace in one another. That's perfection. Hey, to drop mic, na tufunge show twende home.
That is right? Yeah, that is
yes. And there's so much that you guys have said on our socials. But Mikali, I do not want to lose the question that you asked. Very good question.
Yeah.
That can someone be perfect for you without them necessarily saying, I am perfect? Is that what you asked? Yeah. Okay.
That's true.
I'm itching to answer that question.
Please do.
I love that question because there is a saying that says there's someone for everyone.
Everyone, yes.
And you can find that there's a person who comes into your life and you have the grace for them. If that person goes to another person, that other person might say, this person is so wicked, this person. In fact, you'll hear someone asking you, like, how do you cope with this person? How did you find yourself with this person? And it's because you have the grace for that person. You and that person somehow gel together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. The pieces just meet, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that both of you are perfect. It's just that you've understood your flaws, and like Dr. Julius and Dr. Jane was saying, you've known the flaws and you've learned how to live with those flaws, and you gel through those flaws. So I think I love that question.
Okay. Dr. Jane, Dr. Julius, this one is like that. We're going with the
I want to say we are all socialized differently. We are all schooled differently, because our first school of training is our families, where you grew up. And so if you grew up understanding how to cope with some characters that perhaps it's already a familiar trait to you, and that's why a lot of people say they get married to people who look like their dads. The simple reason is you were schooled by a mother who understood this man. And so you tend to gravitate towards somebody who is that direction or that dimension. And they usually don't go too far off the gradient. And because you've already been schooled, as she uses the word grace, it is perfectly fitting. You have the grace, you have the patience, because you learned the patience. You saw your mother getting patient with this. Let me give an example of the bad boy. There are people today who ask, and for me, I've not understood that one, and not that I agree with it 1,000%, no. There are boys, there are men who are very aggressive and perhaps physically aggressive. And you'll find a lady who is sitting and believing that one day he will change, and you're going for counseling. Why? Most of them, when we talk to them and we investigate, they come from a background where they saw another person actually condone the same, and they're married to today, and the man changed. But for somebody like me who has not seen it before, the first thing will be, where is the door?
Yeah. Same.
You get the difference?
Yeah.
So yes, I agree, but I will never agree for anybody to get married to somebody who is aggressive physically. But yes, there is somebody you can cope up with, and there is a character you can't cope up with. You see, he's very quiet. Now, I am quite on the opposite. I am not quiet. So if you came to a house where two people are very quiet, even the children would be extremely quiet. So what happens, there's a match that somehow blends in. Because now I have a listener, and because he didn't talk too much, well, he was supposed to talk at times, I'm his mouthpiece, but we blend. At times I will understand what he's to say, and when he's to say it. So yes, there's somebody for you. And when you meet that right person, you will flow with their imperfections. You'll get perfect in the imperfections.
Love it. Wow.
I mean, based on what you guys have said, because you know, sometimes right now in the modern age, people are postponing marriage to later because of other economic reasons. Ladies want to make sure that they get their money right, and men want to make sure that they get their money right too. That is the main thing. And then the mindset I have is this: just because I've foregone love and connection right now does not mean that I cannot build it with someone else. And I think that you can actually find love anywhere you are willing to put in the work with it. If the basic attraction is actually there. Hence now why in modern age love can be put on the second. Let me get my money first. I can find love anytime, and I'm willing to put in the work, and I can do it. Because clearly the people who are in it, they're still trying to figure it out themselves.
Let me say this. I look at it in two ways. I agree in one way, and I will agree on this level. We've seen our parents, and so many of us have gotten into marriage because we saw our parents in marriage. But now we have a generation that is saying, I won't do something until I know what it is. And they cannot be denied. Because if you look even at the foundation of marriage, which is God, he said, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Not he who finds a girl. No, he who finds a female. He who finds a wife. So a woman has to be a wife. And if that man finds a wife, then you find a good thing. A man also has to be a husband. You know, we say husband material. You have to be that husband. You're already a husband. You have worked on yourself, and you've become that husband. So when you find that love that he's talking about, then you can be that man or that husband who was supposed to be there. Now, the unfortunate thing is that many people are thinking that finding money is what will make love work. Yes, money somehow helps. It is an ingredient, it is a tool that will enable you to have a better marriage. But if you are an angry person, even if you find how much money, you'll just become a more angrier person. Money is like rain. It brings out the seeds that are on the ground. When it rains, you see weeds, you see maize being there. So when you get money, if you're a nasty person, you become more nasty.
That's true.
If you're a generous person, you become more generous. So it's what I'm trying to say is that don't postpone love on the basis of finding money, thinking that money will make love work. If you're going to postpone love to get money, keep on working on yourself so that when you get that person, you will still continue working. Otherwise, both of you, you'll just be bankers in that manner.
But is it only the aspect of only even, like, for example, the fact that we can actually work together, or even you also need to also consider other societal issues? For example, if you guys met, but she was probably going to travel to Canada for even work or something like that. You see, you have to also consider other things in life actually do happen that can hinder you towards making progress in relationship. That is the reality. That hence even goes back to my point where I said, can you guys actually be perfect for one another? But due to external activities and external influences, you guys are not together. That is a fact. That happens in real life. You guys can be there and say that you guys are so perfect, and hence even the notion of the one that got away sometimes even comes into play. You're sure you've heard those things, that happens.
It's true, it's true. And I can see your time is how much spent, and the question on then how then do we attain perfection? because at this point I think we can all agree that kunayo perfect couple, imperfectly, even hope, we call it hope. Imperfectly perfect and perfect for you, right? So then how do we attain? Because like we said, a lot of people lose out on so many good things because we're not willing to put in the work. And now so adding social media, that adds a lot of pressure and amongst couples and even from outside. So how do we put in the work? And what exactly does that work go into and look like? So whoever wants to
mine is a whole different twist. I want you guys to start first. There's something else I have to say about social media. Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Something else to say about social media.
I can start.
Go ahead.
I will say this. Find out what marriage is.
Okay.
Because just like the guys who are behind the scenes who are controlling the cameras, if you or Mwikali takes the camera, nothing may work.
True.
Because you don't know how to control it, but they have studied it. We all need to study this thing called marriage and find out what are the things that are required. If it is that submission, understand what it is. Because most women understand it as slavery, and most men also look at it as slavery. But it has a different meaning. So find out what it takes for marriage to work. Then check on yourself and ask yourself, do I have those ingredients? If a man, you're called to love your wife, ask yourself in the first place, do I even have love for myself? Because if you can't love you, then you can't give anybody. A woman, if you cannot even submit to your mother, just stay at your home. Don't get married. So study this thing called marriage, just like you study how to drive a car, because if you get into marriage and you don't know how to drive it, let me tell you, you will crash, you will kill yourself and kill others.
That's true.
At the same time. There'll be collateral damage.
I think for me, I'm going to say, number one, ask yourself as a lady, why do I want to get married? Do I want to get married because it's hyped on the social media? And I would also want to be part of the flow.
For those aunties who pressure you.
And yes, there's the second of the aunties who pressure you. And then there is what we call the biological clock ticking. And at times, so many ladies end up marrying the wrong people because of other reasons, which were actually not the actual reason. I want to tell a lady, it's not late until you meet the right person. Don't skip into the hands of a wrong man just to be called married. You'd rather wait and do it right. Life is not a rehearsal. And for the man, I want to ask you, by the time you allow another lady into your life, are you ready to create space for her? And when I talk about creating space, it's not just a physical space, because even her, she had her own physical space. I'm talking of emotional space. Do you have the emotional ability to handle a relationship? Do you have the mentor comes even second. Do you have actually even the financial ability? Let me also talk the reality. You also have the financial ability. And when we talk about financial ability, I'm not talking of you living beyond your means. I'm asking, have you learned how to save? You could be making your 10,000, 20,000. Have you been able to save? Have you been able to cope with it yourself and create space for somebody else? So that is also a question a man has to answer. And finally, why do you need a woman? Why do you need her? That's a question you've got to be very honest with. Why do I need her? Is it because my parents are giving me pressure? And as you said, there are times you may feel, I have other priorities. Is marriage on your priority list? When it hits your priority list, do it at the right time. Do it at your time, not at anybody else's time. So it works, and marriage is happy, but you've got to make sure that when you're getting there, you're intentional.
Absolutely. Hey. Love it. You can't wait. So I was just like,
I know, it's in my head.
I have something else.
Miriam, please go.
I like the fact that you, Dr. Jane, you kept bringing up the why. I'm so big on the why. Yeah, why get into a relationship? What am I looking for? What is it in me that I feel needs to be completed? Am I looking for completion or am I looking for complementation? You know, why am I getting into this? The other thing is the reason for marriage. I had something so profound and I've always carried it with me. Marriage is purpose for a purpose. Marriage is purpose for a purpose. Meaning, it's purpose that it's God ordained, it's God who created marriage in the first place. But he created marriage for a purpose, for a reason. So you're asking yourself, if marriage is purpose, what's my purpose for getting married? What are we coming to do? Am I coming to meet a need? Am I coming to complement this person? You know, what am I coming to serve? I remember being told by my mentor once that when you answer the question, when you're in a relationship, the question you need to answer is, what do I bring into this relationship?
What do you bring to the table?
Because listen, he told me, there's always going to be a more prettier woman than you, a more intelligent woman than you, a person who can cook better than you, who's just better than you in everything that they do. So you can't, those are not the things you're bringing to the table. So ask yourself, in this person that I'm in this relationship with, what is it that I bring that no other person can bring? And that's the value that Dr. Jane was talking about. Am I bringing value into this relationship? So as we strive into perfection, it's that, what value am I bringing, both for me and for this other person, and what value are they bringing into my life? And then am I letting them bring that value? Because they can bring the value, but
I don't know how to receive it.
You don't know how to receive it, right? And maybe because you're giving so much, you just think that's my role, but you don't know how to take what the other person is bringing. So those are the things I think someone needs to consider.
I agree with every single one of you guys. Now I'm going to bring the social media aspect of it. As a content creator myself, the main thing I would even tell everybody who creates content on social media, first of all, the men, if your woman is the sole attention grabber for your piece of content, you need to stop and actually now focus actually on your relationship. Just because you're creating content on social media about your relationship does not mean that your relationship has any content whatsoever. And that is a fact. Because you know how to aggregate and put even in your vlog different aspects of your life does not mean that you are actually even having any depth within each other in your relationship whatsoever. And any man who actually now uses his girl or his woman to get the likes and everything, you're behaving too much in your feminine energy and grow up as a man. You didn't buy no way. That is the truth. And that is it. Go ahead.
Something about social media that you've said, that we've talked about how we see couples and how they are couple goals, right? But then there's something else about couples on social media who actually fight, right? Yes. And they come to us with their fights, and then comes the grand gesture of their forgiveness. Yes. So if I am going to forgive you, I am sorry.
This is standard. You see the standard. You see the standard. You see
I am sorry. A helicopter going to say I'm sorry. And it's this little, and we can blame them all we want. But the truth is, sisi wenyewe ndio tunaiconsume. Yes. They make that content for us. Yes. They are not telling us to believe it or do it like they are doing it. Yes. But we believe it because we choose to.
Yes. Well, they are telling you because they're aggregating. They're making a piece and you're editing it. You're arranging it. You're picking this part to actually now air it. They're not giving you a 24-hour live stream. They're not giving you a 24-hour live stream. They're picking.
That's what and you are taking to consume.
No, not me. Not me. You are choosing to consume it. I don't consume that. I don't consume relationship content.
Someone says, Jacob obviously says, don't confuse perfection and compatibility. Relationships are built on compatibility. Had you read this? No. Relationships are built on compatibility and then put on the pedal of growth towards perfection. Yes. Perfection means being able to integrate the other person's weaknesses and strengths in your mind in a manner that you can predict how your partner will behave in different situations. And this is what solidifies trust. I like that. I really, really like that.
Yes, but compatibility, I think it's over-exaggerated because here's what I mean. No, and I mean it very seriously. Because in the beginning, even when you approached her, probably how many times have you heard that, oh, when he approached me, he was not even my type. I did not even like him. I didn't even like even the way he was looking. I didn't even like even his scent. His aura was even disgusting. But once I got to know him, you see that whole idea of the process of getting to know someone else. Yeah. Because compatibility gives you the perspective of that indeed we will completely gel and intertwine with each other in every facet of our being. No. You will not.
You know what? Say something?
You know what? Yes.
Can I say something? And this will help the listener in that aspect.
Yeah.
And it's very fundamental. And I tell people, first of all, become friends. Understand him, understand her as a friend. You know, this thing of, you know, just proposing to a stranger, it has its own dynamics. And the cons tend to outweigh the pros. And I tell people, first of all, become a friend. When you're that friend, the very same thing you've said will have been answered. Did I like the way he talks? Do I like the way he eats? By the time you said yes to this person, you'd already internalized all this.
I
don't like the way he laughs, but it's okay, I've said yes to it. So by the time you are asked to live, marry me, you already know how he socializes with his friends. And there's something you like and something you don't like. By the time you go to visit the dad or the mom, you have already, or the aunties, you know what you like and what you don't like. And you have already made peace with it. I think that's very important. Don't just meet a girl and say, I love the Coca-Cola bottle. Will you marry me? That bottle may be very far from what you like. You know, they look at the kafiga. It may be inside. It may be very far from what you like. And then you start asking, guys, who is this? Who did I marry?
You don't know
because you didn't take time to become a friend. And most of the girls look at the height of the wallet. Oh my God, I love the car he's driving and the perfume. He could have borrowed everything.
Or even if he has it,
or it could be an alone
person of character.
And, that's another thing. And the process of that making isn't ready to incorporate you who has nothing. You get my point? You who has nothing is ready to incorporate you.
Amen?
There's something that Dr. Jane wanted to say when you were on a break. When I come back, I'd like to say it.
Yes, it's about navigation. And I want to address couples. Not because we are perfect into it, but it's because we decided to work on it. A lot of people in relationships, even towards marriage and most in marriage, they say, you know, I know he doesn't like this, so I navigate around it. And so many people have so many paths because they've navigated so much that their life has got so many navigations and lesser meetings, lesser meeting points and more navigations and escape routes. Because why? All those are landmines. Hii nikikanyaga italipuka. And so what do? I don't want to tell him this, nikikanyaga italipuka. I don't want to tell her this, it's like a landmine ready to blow up. And so we keep on navigating matter that should have improved that person to become a better person. And I believe most of the areas we navigate in is the area that gets us tired, exhausted, burnt out in marriage, love dies, and you're living in the same house as your living in the same house, but love died long ago because you were tired of the journey. You're tired of having a conversation because in case I tell him this, in case I tell her this, and do you know all those navigations? They've got a root in your baggage and your garbage.
You know what? Next time, let's talk about baggage compatibility. Because we cannot finish in one show.
That's a lot of baggage conversation.
Yes, we'll actually talk about it. But for now, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye. But I want to read just one comment here. Because we are Mendikana bold. Akasema, yeah, sure, me and Manny, we are perfect. Perfect for each other. Yes. But we have to say goodbye. Unfortunately, allow us to say a special thanks to this one. Simon says, relationship rebel.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Dr. Julius and Jen Kimani, who are relationship experts. And of course, a special thanks to Miriam Mwangi, who's a counseling psychologist and relationship coach. And also, a special thanks to Tavern 109, 109 Tavern in Karen for hosting us today. Absolutely. My name is Winnie Lubembe. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.
She said thank you.